are going to discuss about two main type of simple tissue as well as the complex tissue. Permanent tissues. What happens to the cells which are formed by the meristem or meristematic tissue? They are then getting permanent. These cells are then getting converted or differentiated to be simple permanent tissues. Okay, they take up a specific role and lose their ability to divide. As a result, they form a permanent tissue. This process of taking up a permanent shape, size and a function is called differentiation. Cells of meristematic tissue differentiate to form a different type of permanent tissues. There is an activity given to you. In that activity, you are supposed to cut down a small tiny part of plant, and then you are supposed to observe it under the microscope. Due to this COVID situation, we won't be able to perform that particular activity. Simple permanent tissue. A few layers of cell form a basic packing tissue. This tissue is called parenchyma. Simple permanent tissue and a parenchyma. It is a type of permanent tissue. It consists of relatively unspecialized cell with thin cell walls thin. They are live cells. They are usually loosely packed, so that large space between cells are found in tissue. This tissue provides support to plant and also stores food. Plant में support करसे and food पर store करसे. In some situation, it contains chlorophyll and performs photosynthesis, and then it is called chlorenchyma. So parenchyma simple permanent tissues, chloroform हसे तो chlorenchyma कहसु. Right? In aquatic plant, large air cavity are present in parenchyma to give buoyancy to the plant to help them float. Such parenchyma type is called arenchyma. तो જેમ કે લોટસ જે છે બીજા અધર પ્લાન્ટ્સ જે છે એ ફ્લોટ કરતા હોય પાણીની અંદર ન જતા રહેતા હોય તો જે બેલોન્સી જે ફોર્સ જે લાગે પ્લાન્ટની ઉપર डाउनवर्ड साइड में ग्रेविटी थी ऑपोजिट साइड में जो फोर्स लागे दैट इज कॉल्ड बायोन्सी फोर्स. स्पेलिंग याद રાખજો લાઈક કોઈ વાળો DOUY છે. ઓકે, as the cells of this tissue are very active, they have ઓકે, તો એને કહેશું આપણે parenchyma. ઓકે, then there is a flexibility in plants due to another permanent tissue which are called chlorenchyma. It allows easy bending in various parts of plant without breaking. It also provides mechanical support to plant. We can find this tissue in leaf stalk below the epidermis. The cells of this tissue are living, elongated, irregularly thickened at the corners. There is very little intercellular. Yet another type of permanent tissue is sclerenchyma. It is a tissue which makes the plant hard and stiff. We have seen the husk of coconut. It is made up of sclerenchyma tissue. The cells of these tissues are dead. They are long, narrow, and the walls are thickened due to lignin. Lignin is a chemical substance which acts as a cement or hardens them. Often these walls are so thick that there is no internal space inside the cell. This tissue is present in stems around vascular bundles, in veins of leaves, and in hard covering of seed and nuts. It provides strength to the plant parts. तो આ particular segment ની અંદર આપણે જોશું કે કેવી રીતે આ પર્ટિક્યુલર પાર્ટ ની અંદર આપણે જોયું કે કેવી રીતે મેરિસ્મેટિક ટિશ્યુ જે છે એ પરમેનન્ટ ટિશ્યુ ની અંદર કન્વર્ટ થઈ જાય. પરમેનન્ટ ટિશ્યુ ને આપણે પેરેન્કાઇમા કહીએ છીએ. આ પેરેન્કાઇમા જે છે એની પાસે જો ક્લોરોપ્લાસ્ટ પ્રેઝન્ટ હોય તો આપણે એને ક્લોરેન્કાઇમા કહીએ. જો એની અંદર એર પોર્શન વધારે હોય વેલન્સી માટે તો પછી એરેન્કાઇમા કહીએ. આ સિવાય એક છે સ્કેલેરેન્કાઇમા. સ્કેલેરેન્કાઇમા જે છે એને સપોર્ટ ને સ્ટ્રેન્થ પ્રોવાઇડ કરે. આ સિવાય પાલનકાયમાં જે છે એ પ્રેઝન્ટ હોય છે અને આ સિવાય another type which is called sclerotic chyme તો એ જે છે એ સ્ટીફનેસ પ્રોવાઈડ કરે નટ્સ જે કે કોકોનટ નું હસ્ક છે ડેડ સ્કિન જે છે એ કોકોની અંદર જતું રહે ઓકે સો these are the different type of simple tissue okay in activity 6.3 you are supposed to take a rainbow leaves and you are supposed to take it, dip it into the water, and then you are supposed to take a pill, and then you are supposed to make a slide out of it. So, what do you observe on the outermost layer of the cells? So, whatever you are observing on the top part of this particular cross section of this leaf is the epidermis. The epidermis is usually made up of single layer of cells and usually it is made up of single layer of cells. In desert area there is a very dry atmosphere and entire water can be evaporated due to this stomatal pores, so there is a very thick layer of few cells. Okay, in some plants living in very dry habitat the epidermis may be thicker since protection against water loss is critical. In the entire surface of plant has this outer covering of epidermis. It protects all the part of plant. Epidermal cells on the aerial part of plant often secretes waxy, water-resistant layer on their outer surface. This aids the protection against loss of water, mechanical injury and invasion by parasitic fungi. Since it is a protective role to play, cells of epidermis tissue form continuous layer without any intercellular space. Most epidermal cells are relatively flat. Often their outer and side walls are thicker than the inner wall. We can observe small pores here and there in epidermis of leaf. These pores are called stomata. Stomata are enclosed by two kidney-shaped cells called guard cells that are necessary for exchanging gas with atmosphere. Transpiration also takes place through stomata. Okay. So, till the time we have studied about simple permanent tissues. In that we have studied about all other part of it, parenchyma and all. And now we are talking about epidermis. Epidermis, that is outermost shell. तो कोई पण plant जे છે એની અંદર outermost cell few cell જે છે એ few cells નું બનેલું હોય છે. ઓકે, તો આ ક્યારે કટ વાળું ન હોવું જોઈએ કેમ કે પ્રોટેક્શન પ્રોવાઈડ કરે છે તો કન્ટિન્યુઅસ હોવું જોઈએ. ફ્લેટ સેલ્સ હોય એની અંદર બરોબર છે. ક્યારેક કોઈ જગ્યાએ મિકેનિકલ કટ કે એવું થાય તો ત્યાં વેક્સી સબસ્ટન્સ બહાર નીકળતું હોય એ જનરલી એને પ્રોટેક્ટ કરે. કોઈ મિકેનિકલ ઇન્જરી છે કે કોઈ હાર્ડ વેધર જે છે એક એરિયલ પાર્ટ્સની અંદર તો એ બધા સામે ફંગલ પેરાસાઇટનું કોઈક અટેક છે એનાથી એને પ્રોટેક્ટ કરે. સો બેઝિકલી આઉટરમોસ્ટ લેયર જે છે એ અંદરના બીજા બધા સેલ્સને પ્રોટેક્શનનું કામ કરે છે. The epidermal cells of roots whose function is water absorption commonly bear long hair-like parts that greatly increases total absorptive surface area. In some plants like desert plant, epidermis has a thick waxy coating of cutin, which is a chemical substance with waterproof quality, on its outer surface. We can think of a reason for this. Is the outer layer of branch of tree different from the outer layer of young stem? As plant grows older, outer protective tissue undergoes certain changes. A strip of secondary meristem replaces the epidermis of stem. Cells on the outside are cut off from this layer. These forms a several layer thick core or a bark of tree. Cells of cork are dead and compactly arranged without intercellular spaces. They also have a chemical called suberin. In them, walls are made their impervious to gas and water. So, આપણે અત્યાર સુધી વાત કરી કેવી રીતે મેરિસ્મેટિક ટિશ્યુઝ જે છે એ સિમ્પલ પરમેનન્ટ ટિશ્યુઝ ની અંદર કન્વર્ટ થાય. આઉટરમોસ્ટ બટ આ સેલ્સ જે છે વન્સ એની ડિવિઝન એબિલિટી કમ્પ્લીટ થઈ જાય પછી torn out, worn out થઈ જાય. In that situation, what is happening to them? Then they form a thick layer on the outer side. લીમડાના ઝાડની અંદર તમે આવું ઇઝીલી ઓબ્ઝર્વ કરી શકો. બાર્ક જે કે આપણે જેને ઝાડની ખાલ કહીએ હે ને, તો એ ખાલ બની અને ત્યાં પ્રેઝન્ટ હોય, બહુ ઓછી ઇન્ટરસેલ્યુલર સ્પેસ હોય. ફર્સ્ટ ઓફ ઓલ આપણે 5th ચેપ્ટરનું સ્ટાર્ટિંગ જ કોર્કની હેલ્પથી કર્યું. નેક્સ્ટ ઇઝ કોમ્પ્લેક્સ permanent tissue. The different type of tissues have discussed until now are all made up of one type of cells which look like each other. Such tissues are called simple permanent tissue. Yet another type of permanent tissue is complex tissue. Complex tissue are made of more than one type of cell. All these cells coordinate to perform a common function. Xylem and phloem are examples of such complex tissue. They both are conducting tissues and constitute a vascular bundle. Vascular or conducting tissue is distinctive feature of complex tissue. One of has main possibility to survive in terrestrial environment. Figure 6.3 showing section of stem. Can you see different type of cell in vascular bundles? So you can easily see there is a various type in vascular bundles like tracheae, vessels, xylem, sieve plate, sheath tube, phloem, parenchyma, companion cell. Xylem consists of tracheae, vessels, xylem, parenchyma, and cellular fiber. All cells have thick walls. Many of them are dead cells. Tracheae vessels tubular structures. This allows them to transport water and mineral vertically. The parenchyma stores food and helps in the sideway conduction of water. Fibers are mainly supporting in function. While phloem is made up of 4 types of elements: seed tube, companion cell, fiber, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Sieve tubes are tubular cells with perforated walls. Phloem is unlike xylem in that material can move in both directions. In it, phloem transport food from leaves to the other. So till the time we have discussed how xylem and phloem are important. Xylem transports water vertically upwards, while phloem transport the food which is prepared by leaves to entire part of body. There is a very complex mechanism of doing this work is involved into it. We are not talking about that, but we should know that these kind of processes are being done, and due to that we can understand how plants have these different tissues and what are their roles in it. In next segment we are going to discuss about animals. So that's all. Thank you.